How's it going, guys? Just gonna do some short form kind of evergreen content. And I'm thinking that that's like a good way to go to actually help people learn more about the space without feeling like the intimidation of having to read a really like boring book that's like dry and saves you like a lot of time in the process. So what I'm going to do today is just talk a little bit about mining, right? Like, I haven't been at mining as long as some people have been. Like when I was at CIS LA, one time I had dinner with a guy that has been in the mining since there were just like a handful of nodes on Bitcoin. So there have been people that have been in the space for a while and that know it kind of ins and out, and they have like a high level view of mining and proof of work and the centralization of pools and rolling back transactions and all the technical stuff. But I would say from a lower end with a beginner intermediate direction focus, I think that to get into mining and to spend your hard-earned crypto in mining, you have to go about it the right way. And first and foremost, understand the right pool to go into. Right now, they have a lot of different platforms that are out there besides the big two. But the big two, by far, are NiceHash, which has a ton of power, and then mining rig rentals, which is usually individual rigs or just like a handful of rigs that are put to a stratum redirector that will push it to, whatever. On mining rig rentals, you'll should know that some people are actually putting orders in on NiceHash, and then from those, they're asking a higher price. Maybe they've locked in a really low price and they're trying to make a profit on the spread, or any number of things. But usually those are on the upper end. But I'd say the vast majority of rigs, certainly within Script or SHA-256, X11, the big ones, Dagger Hashimoto, Etash, are from individual systems. And you buy the time, and at least when I go in there, I compare it against what the going rate on NiceHash is. So NiceHash generally does have a favorable rating if you provide hashing power to them all the time. It's steady, it's a PPS, and it's on a PPS on the upper end. Plus they have a lot of coverages in a lot of different algorithms, so you can maximize your system's specs to get you the most for what you're trying to mine. And a lot of times there's only a few coins that'll be above the NiceHash in terms of what you can earn, because people can go on NiceHash and then even if they don't pay that top amount, they can put in a limit order for a lower end, what they'll pay. It's like, I'll pay 100 sats, just for example, because there's a PPS that's paying 123, or the probability based on my CoinWars calculator is that it's giving 130. And yeah, there's a possibility it could dip below 100 if I do it in the short term. But if I have a 24-hour order on NiceHash and I'm guaranteed this rate at a fairly constant speed drip, and it doesn't hit that, that's like out of many standard deviations of that happening. So there are arbitrage opportunities within cloud mining. But I'll just start off first by saying that cloud mining must be done for a period of less than 2 weeks for sure. And 90% of the time, it's being done less than a day or two, because the valuation of the coin fluctuates. The hashing power certainly fluctuates. It could be that Bitmain has a bunch of new rigs that go online, and to get into some of these top pools, you'll need to put in a lot more to expect what you thought you'd be able to get. So these big macro changes, can happen at any time. Macro in crypto moves exponentially faster than even macro for computers, which operates on internet speed, which is already very fast. So go a day or two and forget about those cloud mining things that are like into perpetuity or a year, because it's essentially a scam where they keep the fees high on the electricity. So it's like, okay, well, you have 1 penta forever, but you can pay that, but it's being used on this rig, and here's the electricity cost, and it goes up and up and up until it's not profitable, until you actually have to pay them, which is, when you're mining, not an ideal situation to, before you even start out, you're in the hole. That, and at the end of the year, you could see that unless Bitcoin or Litecoin or any of the ones that are linked to a particular algorithm or consensus mechanism or any of the other ways that they term it, spikes incredibly fast, then you're going to be out of luck, because it'll be profitable for people to come in with a rig, come in with a ASIC that will mine that coin, and they're going to try to get a return. Everyone that I've followed on YouTube that tries to get an ROI has given up. I was a follower of Voss for a while. Voss is amazing at teaching the nuances and getting these huge, like essentially little homes, like mini homes of rigs going. And even in one of his most recent videos, he said, unless you're living in a very cold area and you're using a rig for heat, it doesn't make sense, certainly in North America and Europe, to do mining. I know unless you have a dorm or your parents are paying the electricity, you're not economically incentivized to mine in the long term. Yeah, you can have like a little thumb drive, try to mine for a Litecoin block or something, and there does exist that possibility that it's essentially a lottery ticket. So if you want to go about it that way, just know that if you hit one, great, but you can't really expect to hit one unless you're doing years and years and years, and then even then with 10-minute blocks and with super rigs going into some of these things, you're pretty well out of luck. They have other projects like Warhash, and one's I think one attached to Zpool, I think it's Zhash, that are trying to go about it in a different way. Problem with NiceHash is that you need 0.005 Bitcoin in order to get going. So at present value, it's like $45 US dollars. So you do need to get going, but just know that with NiceHash, and I didn't know this until months in, that you can actually immediately terminate whatever you're mining if you're going in not at a fixed rate. If you're doing market pool, then you can stop and you can immediately drop that hashing rate and it'll stop at the pool. Some people use that to like slam a pool, where if it's prop, and nowadays it's done so often that pool hopping really isn't done in prop, and if it's done in proper proportional awarding, then it's for coins with a block reward of like 10 cents or less, where it's just not worth the time to be doing a PPLNS or all these other more sophisticated ways to award the blocks to a pool. Then you're getting a lot, and you're kind of guaranteed based on the amount of hash that you put in a probability of every block reward of getting. If it's 100 penta for SHA-256 and you come in with one and the block reward is once every 10 minutes, then every 10 minutes you have 1 in 100 chance of getting that block reward. So if you do that enough and you slam, with a big amount, then yeah, you will probability wise, if you hit 100 blocks and your odds are 1 in 100, unless something goes awry, then you will hit it over the next 100 or 200 blocks. I mean, it does happen that it takes 500%, 600% for a block to be hit, but by and large, based on using standard deviation models, you should hit one. So you want to stay away from prop pools, and one of the reasons why you get as good a return as you do on NiceHash is because I may do that in the future, but that's kind of the way you get going with a lot of these platforms. So yeah, start with the mining rig rentals. If you're feeling ambitious, start with nice hash and kind of build your knowledge from there, because that's kind of the entirety, certainly 95% of the hashing power. And these other ones are just kind of upstarts that sometimes we're even taking hashing power from mining rig rentals to show their proof of use, and then find a good pool. Usually the ones that are most user friendly, certainly Slush Pool is good for SHA-256, for Bitcoin, and other ones, a lot of which are concentrated in China, are pretty straightforward. I think BTC.com I've used in the past. And then in the next video, because I've already talked too long, I'll talk a little bit about the different innovative ways they have to award the blocks. Altcoin author, signing off.